Ever wondered who and what is shaping Luxembourg? This is your Lux Unplugged podcast with your hosts, Adrian and Thierry.
Hi, I'm Adrian. Welcome back to another episode of the Lux Unplugged podcast. This time around I get together with Jacques Putz, CEO of LuxHub. LuxHub is a leading regulatory technology firm, or in short, called RegTech, which allows banks to foster innovation by opening up to third parties in a secure environment. Indeed, their project is mainly supported by the European Union to encourage further competition between banks and other service providers. LuxHub has recently joined the ranks of the RegTech 100 Awards worldwide, and this a few weeks after our recording with Jacques. But now, without further ado, my conversation with Jacques Putz, CEO of LuxHub. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's a great pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
I know that at LuxHub, there's a lot of stuff that you're dealing with, and there's a lot of innovation coming up, as we always do. We're very interested in understanding who's running the organization and understanding a bit more about your background. So can you just walk me through all your life history and what's led you to this kind of career path?
Before joining LuxHub, I worked 11 years for a Luxembourgish bank in the e-banking, more on the technical part. And before joining now this bank, I did my studies in Germany in IT. And during my studies, I also had a small startup already with 19 years. So in the beginning of it was in 1997 we started it already. So it was an online portal like Facebook, but also about nightlife. In generally, I'm always a person who wants to create things.
How was this startup called?
It's Party.lu, and it was in collaboration with Luxembourgish radio station Elde Radio in this time. And it was quite funny because I think I was the first nightlight photograph hunter. So I visited 3-4 events each night from just taking pictures. I was the only one who had a digital photo apparat, and and that's the other day people just checked the photos on the site, and it was a little bit the concept. At this moment, no one had a smartphone. So today, when you go to an event, there are thousands of photo apparatus in the room. Yeah, and that was quite amazing. I did it during my studies, and as I mentioned, I sold this project in 2004 because I wanted to finish my studies. It was not so compatible at certain moments. So, and that was also a little bit the entrepreneur idea to create things, to organize also events. And it was quite amazing as student to do such thing at the side of your studies. And after that, I joined this bank, so the Luxembourg State Bank. We created the new e-banking of the bank.
Just briefly going back to the experience I had at Party.lu, when at peak time, do you remember how many people consulted this website or used it?
We had, in fact, in the beginning of 2000, we had about 30,000 visitors a day. Yeah, already in 2000.
There's a lot of people, given that the smartphone wasn't around and digital space was just taking off.
Yeah, it was very surprising, but the big issue during this time was to monetize such service. It was not so easy like today. I think today is a whole industry around it, and it was also new for the advertiser, the impact, and that was also the reason why we stopped this project, because we invested so much time in it, life is sometimes brutal. You need to do something to earn your life and to finish your studies, but it was a very, very huge experience for myself. Yeah.
Jacques, I'm very interested in understanding the mission that LuxHub is pursuing since you were launched, essentially. I know there's a lot of stuff that we have to cover, but how would you describe it in simple terms?
Yeah, so the idea is that banks have now a mandatory legal obligation to create dedicated interfaces so the final customer can grant access to his payment account information to a third party. That's the whole scoop. But it's a lot about security around it, about authorization, about consent management, because at the end it's always the final customer who decides. So it's the idea of this directive, it's the PSD2, it's a Payment Service Directive of the European Commission, to foster innovation and to create a higher level of security. So about foster innovation is that they want to challenge banks, that they need more innovation. When you see there were also other markets like the telecom companies, there was a certain liberalization, the competition. You have the electricity market, there's now a huge competition in Europe. And the idea is now to do the same and to foster innovation in the banking sector. So that's a high-level idea to do it. So, but if you see now about banks, the innovation, it's not their best point. And they did the last 150 years, the business of the banker haven't changed. In fact, they just did digitalization a lot. They created new user experiences, but they haven't reinvented themselves. What is now, we have a lot of competitors in Europe that want now really to create the customer new services. So the banks need to go into the economy, and because till now the economy came to the banks. And that's really a big change in the mindsets of the banks. But to come back to the mission of LuxHub is that all the banks have to do the same thing. So it was time for mutualization. And so for major retail banks in Luxembourg, they created LuxHub, a commercial company. It's not only a cooperative or an ASBL, it's really a commercial company, independent of the government, who wants to act as open banking enabler for banks of all size in Europe, because it's a directive, so all the different 27 banks need to comply regarding this. No, it's more, it's 31, because there's also some small countries who also need to comply.
Is that the total amount of banks that are operating in?
That's the total amount of countries who need to comply, not banks. So PSD2 is for everyone. So it's also for corporate banks, it's for small private banks, and all money in financial institutions who offers payments accounts. So we also talk about payment institution, about e-money institution, and that's quite challenging for smaller entities. So, in big English bank, I know HSBC or Lloyds or these guys who did an excellent job on this, but the bank who have 30 employees have the same technical obligations than the big player of in Spain or whatever, or in the Nordics. And that's the reason why we launched LuxHub, to help these banks to be also in an efficient way compliant to these legal obligations. So banks have to needed to become technical service provider. It's a new job, it's not their job. And the idea is that with LuxHub, that they outsource this new mission to LuxHub.
Yeah, I can imagine if banks have to set up their own divisions to comply with these regulations. They've got so much to deal with at the minute that the cost will be enormous, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. And the thing is, they don't have the knowledge. They don't need to have the knowledge because it's not their business at the moment. They don't have the necessary platforms. So, and all this environment also needed to be offered by the banks for free. It's only we're talking about free service for third-party providers. And when you see at the moment, in general, banks have so much work to do regarding regulations. And so you have GDPR, you have MiFID II, you have PID, and now PSD2, now it's coming DAXIS, so it's all technical stuff. And in fact, they are all not commercial. So they are lost in the regulatory compliance to respect the date. And again, it's that regulations who need to be take in consideration from all banks, also from the small banks and the corporate banks, private banks, e-money institution, payment institution. And so the idea is really that with LuxHub, we offered now a mutualized platform to mutualize what is mutualizable. So which create no competitive advantage for any player. So banks don't need to really to create their own platforms, and it's a question about cost, knowledge, and also opportunity. Because open banking is really also a big opportunity for banks to change their business, to collaborate with partners. And what we see now for this opportunities part is that banks also want to aggregate themselves. So probably in the upcoming weeks and months, you can aggregate European accounts in the e-banking of the banks. So if you can aggregate a bank from Portugal in the e-banking of a Luxembourgish bank. And you can also initiate payments directly from the account from the Portuguese bank through the e-banking of the Luxembourgish bank. And so you see it's really now a real challenge about the best user experience, because especially in Luxembourg, we have a lot of customers who has different banks. And it's in the culture of Luxembourg to have 2, 3, 4 banks. I don't know why, but it's like this. And we have a lot of cross-borders who have also bank normally in their home country and one in Luxembourg for the salary and all this stuff. And that's now is a big point to create this the best user experience. So the first one who will aggregate are the banks, but we will also see now European players. It's something also new. It was in generally national competition in the market of banks. What we'll see, we also the new unicorns, like we mentioned, it's like number 26 or Revolut. I think everyone have already heard for it. I think in the UK we have Starling Bank, who are doing it quite well. And they will challenge the bank because they have a European license passport to expose this service. And we want to create as LuxHub all the necessary tools also for small and medium banks, so tier 3 and tier 2 banks, to participate in this upcoming API in commonly about user experience, and also to find solution in an easy way for regulatory issues in the future.
So to summarize a little bit, what you bring in to the table, essentially, you're creating a platform, creating a common denominator for every player in the financial services sector, be it like from the biggest ones to the smallest players, and they can essentially plug into the system with other players like third-party providers that will allow the end consumers to have a different experience, to enhance services essentially. So my question is, in terms of innovation that you're thinking about, do you have any examples, sort of practical examples that we can talk about?
Number 26, Revolut and all these guys. Because they have now created already a certain basis of customers, and they all have also a license. So they have the right to connect to the European banks and even challenge them more by giving their customers, the Revolut or the number 26 or other guys or numbers, to aggregate also their accounts in their platform and initiate payment from it. I think that's a certain use case. Another use case is robo-advisor today. If you robo-advisors are in generally in the banks, so the offers from the banks, the robo-advisor, you can use it, so to invest in funds in a certain way automatically. So now with PSD2, these banks or these service providers can also create their own app, and the customer can initiate the payment to pay the stocks or whatever in the bank, in the app itself. And it's not only about retail PSD2, to be quite clear. I think it's also, we will see a huge impact also in corporate, and also in private banking. For corporates, the big advantage, we have a lot of European players, big, huge corporates, but also like take now, if there's online shops, they also get more and more a license of banking, and they offer you a mortgage for 500 euros, 1,000 euros, because they know you better, because you can give them the proof of your history of a transaction of the last months. You can initiate payment directly from online shops. So also it's a certain competition now between credit cards and these direct payments. So really in payment a lot will change.
So yeah, I understand. There's a lot of potential in all the stuff that you've created, and obviously, given the size of the European market, I know that there's more to come. So in terms of figures, how many actors have you onboarded so far? How many users are now part of your system or your platform?
So today we have signed with 36 banks of 10 countries, and we are managing over 2 million payments accounts at LuxHub. But there are not only banks in it, we have also e-money institution or...
Such as an example of e-money?
Yeah, or companies like Rakuten. It's Rakuten Bank, so it's really a new... We are out of our zone of comfort. So we really want to innovate and to help to create better user experience, to create new business models. E-money is using wallets or something like this, so e-wallets. Yeah. They also need to comply in a certain way. But it's not, I think we talk now a lot about this comply regarding PSD2. What we want to do as LuxHub is also to be the technical service provider for all the upcoming regulations. So we'll have a solution for our customers. The big advantage for them is that they don't, again, it's the same, right? To mutualize costs. It's a wall of a cost. When you see the interest rate at the moment for banks, it's quite challenging. The European Central Bank is now under the O. So we have business rates, negative rates.
Yeah.
They have to reinvent themselves a little bit. And we want to help them, first of all, to comply in an easier way, with high quality, and to mutualize also the effort in innovation, especially for small or medium entities. It makes really sense to create common project to compete on European level. It's new. It's a European level. I will mention already Netflix. When you see 20 years ago, we went to the video shop after we had the video automate, after we had pay-per-view. Today we have Netflix. There exists 3 or 4 Netflix. So what will happen with banking? It's the same thing. You have branches, you have an ATM, you have an e-banking per bank, and what will be there tomorrow? It's again the banks who will have the user experience. All the customers of the banks are already also customer of this famous Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, or Netflix. And so there's also already a relationship of trust, which is there. And especially for small services, banks will be competed, yes. But they are aware about it and they do a big job. Another example to explain really is that we are already in the situation today, when today you buy a car, you go, and at this moment, a moment where you sign the contract for the car, they offer also you already to lend money at the garage.
Yeah.
So that's already the first concrete case. So probably in some years you will have the same thing when you are buying a house or you want to change. So the comparator, we create village competition in it. In Germany it's already quite used, but in other countries not. And again, the big thing about PSD2 is that it's a European thing. So if you have a great idea, if you create today a fintech who have a great idea in Silicon Valley, you attack directly 340 million person, I think, in the States, something like this. Where if you create now a fintech in Luxembourg, you're attacking 530 million customers. And we need to think like this, because and that's quite new for smaller countries like Luxembourg. That's big. First of all, you have the opportunity to do it from Luxembourg European-wide. And that's for the fintechs. And for the bank, it's also new that European actors, fintechs, will also attack the Luxembourgish market out of nothing in some months. And it's a little bit the culture change that will appear in the financial institution market.
Is there a reason why this initiative was launched in Luxembourg? I was thinking, because what were you doing? You're servicing 10 countries. Was Luxembourg championing this initiative? Or were you the first ones, essentially, in the market?
Yeah, but we're not the only one, that's for sure. We have some competitors European-wide. What's special on our case is that we are bank-owned. So stability of the company, vision, and we don't want to limit us on PSD2, but really to help banks in this innovation part and also to help to comply in easier way. Not only banks, even now we go in other sectors like funds or interest companies or private equities. So in generally, financial institution, we can be very proud about us because during the EBA days, we were mentioned as second largest open banking platform in Europe. Also in the discussion at the EBA at the moment regarding the European Banking Association. So it's the regulator of all European banks. It's all the time where LuxHub is on the map. The feedback is very positive. I think we did a quite good job by standardizing, because innovation is only, and cross-border communication is only possible by standardization. I'm quite proud about my team, what we did, and also the support of our shareholders on this was really amazing.
And in terms of plans for the future that you guys have got, well, how do you see LuxHub evolving over the years?
We are running a marathon, and we are now at 500 meters.
Where to go?
Where to go? It's a long way to go. There are a lot of opportunities where we can mutualize efforts to create new products and to reduce costs for regulatory paths, not only for banks, but also for other sectors. So our vision is really European, really to scale European-wide, and also to create events where fintechs and banks and providers meet each other. I think everyone knows now that they need to innovate in the future. When you go to other industries, the model of partnership is more used than in banking. It was a lot of silo ideas till now. It works a lot in silos. It's only, you're the provider, but you're not the partner. It's a big difference between both. And but we see really in the last months that the mind changed on it. And we want to help fintechs to connect, not only in the PSD2 context, but in generally, to connect in an easy way with financial institution by standardization, security, due diligence, connectivity, and European-wide. And that's our mission a little bit that we gave us in the last months. There's a lot of change in banking that will come, really. And that was also the aim of PSD2, to create competition, to challenge banks to innovate. And I think at the end, it's really the final customer who will be the winner. Like he was now with electricity liberalization and also the telcos and all this stuff.
And then finally, before we close this episode, anyone having an interest in the stuff you're doing and wants to find out more about this field of expertise and your services, where should they go?
On LinkedIn, Facebook, so in social media, we are everywhere, and also on our website luxhub.com. Yes. So or just phone us. It still exists, the phone. So we are also joinable by phone.
That's very good.
It's sometimes it's amazing when you see some fintechs, they have a website and at the end there's no phone number on the website.
A good old phone conversation, it always helps. Much more helpful than writing an email, isn't it?
Absolutely, because it's I'm really a fan about meetings, but not too long.
Jacques Putz, thank you so much for taking out the time today. I really appreciate the chat we just had. We certainly look forward to talking more about the stuff that you're doing, because as you were just saying earlier, I think within a year's time there's going to be a lot of news to discuss. So it would be great to have you back. Thanks for listening to the Lux Unplugged podcast. Please share this podcast with friends and family and leave us a review on iTunes. Also, please don't forget to visit our website, luxunplugged.com. And see you next time.